In this episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief, I sit down with Isaiah, Elijah, and Frank to talk all about Purrsident, a game of ferocious kitty politics and an all-around good time that'll be on Kickstarter through Sunday the 2nd of December. So stick around until after Kickstarter Corner when we get in to talk all about this fun game, which has fun art as well, so wait for that. This episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief is proudly being powered by Union City Heroes, a comic book, RPG, and setting core book. It's a new comic book, superhero role-playing system, and source book on the world of Union City and its heroes and villains. It's got a new system, and if you're interested and you want to go find out more about it, we sat down with Paul Monday, this last episode before this one, to talk all about it with him. Or you can always jump over to his Kickstarter page, click on updates, and we are in his latest update that was published on the 12th of November. So you can do that as well. If you like any of these projects, go ahead and back them and show them a little bit of support. Union City Heroes is going to be on Kickstarter for a little bit longer, probably a little over 48 hours. At the time of recording, it's got a little over 63 hours to go. So check out Union City Heroes, a comic book, RPG, and setting core book. This episode of Getting Geeky with Game Relief is also proudly being powered by Rotunda-Last Man Standing family party game. We'll have Amos and Nina on the podcast to talk all about this great game in the coming days, Friday to be exact, as well as a little bit of a special treat to our subscribers. An email will go out later this week that will be extra coverage of this and the creation of the game. So make sure you're subscribed over at Game Relief at GameReliefGo.com so you don't miss any of our upcoming secret episodes that will not go out to the masses. But go check out Rotunda-Last Man Standing, a family party game that has 22 more days to go on Kickstarter. It ends on the 6th of December. And then stay tuned for our episode, which we sit down with the creators to talk all about that great game.
Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf, the podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
Welcome to Getting Geeky with Game Relief. Glad you could make it. Go ahead and let me take your coat. Stay a while. We've got a log on the fire. We've got cinnamon buns baking. And in the meantime, here's some hot chocolate. Now, let's go ahead and see what great games are currently on Kickstarter in our Kickstarter Corner, shall we?
It's time for Kickstarter Corner. To begin now.
A little bit of throwback Kickstarter Corner music for you. Now let's get on with it, shall we? Dead Sprint the Game is on Kickstarter for a little while longer. It's a board game for 2 to 5 players that need to outrun a horde of the undead. Try to stay ahead on your turn before the horde takes theirs. This is coming to you from Rabble Game Studios. They're really shy of their goal by $300, so they're going to get it. And you can have the opportunity to be one of those final backers to bring them in or get them to stretch goals, as this project will be on Kickstarter. 45 hours to go at the time of this recording, so a little bit less than that by the time you're hearing this. So check out Dead Sprint the Game that ends on Thursday, the 15th of November. Go check it out on the Kickstarters. Click our link in our show notes to show a little bit of support that you heard it here first on Getting Geeky with Game Relief. Another one that's on Kickstarter that's got a couple more hours longer than that one is from Freshwater Game Company, Circuit Breaker board game. It's a puzzle game of quirky competition and crafty rodents, in which you're trying to be the first player to successfully rewire your home in time for a hastily scheduled house party. You score points by connecting a variety of quirky doodads to your home circuits. It's set collection, tile placement, and crafty rodents will put to use in a fun and cheeky race to be the most happening place on the block. I hope they reach their goal. If not, I hope they relaunch, but you have time to help them become a reality within the next 53 hours from the time of recording. So probably less than 48 hours at the time you hear this episode. So go check out Circuit Breaker board game, currently on Kickstarter. Next, we've got Gnomes at Midnight. It's a 2-player light strategy, kind-hearted, fun tabletop board game. Gnomes come alive at midnight, but stay hidden out of the moonlight. This game will be on Kickstarter for a short time. They're almost to their goal, so let's help them along a little bit. There's 5 days to go. They end on Monday, the 19th of November. We had the creators, both the creator as well as the publisher, on the podcast a while back ago. You can go back and listen to that as we sat down with David and Richard. But go check it out, as it'll be on Kickstarter through Monday, the 19th of November. Next, we've got Catacombs 3E playmat version. It's the award-winning dexterity dungeon crawl, and it's back and better than ever. This one, you're not rolling the dice, but you're flicking your heroes through encounters on a double-sided playmat. And they reach their goal really quickly, and there's still 8 days to go to get on this great project, as it ends Wednesday, the 21st of November. So about a week to go for you. And you know what? We are actually showing up in update number 4, called Catacombs New Cardboard Herald Preview Video. So you go, scroll down, you can check out the preview with Cardboard Herald, and then a little bit just past that is our podcast interview. We sat down with Aaron to talk all about Catacombs 3E, the playmat version. If you haven't got a chance, definitely go check that out from Elzra Games. Next, we've got the Fumblecrit Wars game. It's a tabletop dice game. And this one reached their goal in 8 hours. And there's still 17 days to go to get in the fun of the Fumblecrit Wars game. It looks like a pretty fun game. Just to tell you a bit about it, it's a 2-player fast and fun dice rolling game where the object is to wipe out each other's warband first. So definitely check out this great game. They reach their goal, like I said, in 8 hours, and they go through Friday the 30th of November. So go ahead and make the Fumblecrit Wars game part of your collection in games you backed here on the Kickstarters. This game just barely launched yesterday. Asunder, an intuitive war game from Sant LLC. We had the pleasure to talk with Jason Surlock all about this great game in episode 213, Wishlist Wednesday on Monday. Asunder, an intuitive war game. You can go back and listen to that if you take a liking, or just check out the Kickstarter page. It's, like I said, it's currently on the Kickstarters. And a little bit about this great game, as I know you're probably wondering about it. In Asunder, it's a lightning-fast 40mm war game set in a post-apocalyptic Earth. Easy to learn, strategic, and customizable, and you don't need a ruler. That's blatantly pointed out in the episode I sat down with Jason. Plus, there's lots and lots of miniatures. So, if you're into wargaming and you don't want a ruler and to have to learn long, complicated rules, definitely check out Asunder, an intuitive war game that'll be on Kickstarter through the 12th of December. It looks awesome. Last but not least, on our Kickstarter Corner today is Bloody Cells, the Viking strategy board game. Print and play. It's a strategic 4X board game set in the Viking era, available in print and play version. Become a Norse monarch and reach your fate of glory in this great game. They haven't yet reached their goal, but they're getting awfully close, as there is only, a little bit less than $400 to go. You can make this game a reality. Just to tell you a little bit about it, it's a management strategic board game inspired by the 4X and Civilization genres. It sounds pretty fun, and you can make it a copy in your library by going ahead and checking out the Kickstarter before the 9th of December when Bloody Cells, the Viking strategy board game PNP, ships off of Kickstarter and into a home near you. As it was print and play, it will be available in December. So check that out. And now let's go ahead and we join this interview about Purrsident already in progress.
Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
You there. Yes, you. You like card games? What about card games with cats? That's what I thought. Now listen up as I tell you what the game's about. In Purrsident, you have to go from being this to this. Sounds pretty simple, right? Haha, wrong. To get to the top, you'll have to use play out of turns, no multiples, force plays, pickups, wild skips, peeks, and vetoes. But wait, now you're Purrsident. Now there's trading. People got abilities. Friends become foes. Make your move. Think about it.
Did that sound familiar to you guys? It didn't to me neither, but this is a story of Purrsident, and tonight we're lucky enough to have on the creators and masterminds behind this great game. Is that correct, how you guys fit into Purrsident?
Yep, masterminds. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Creators, you know.
Well, there we go. Maybe if you could, before we get into it, maybe you guys can each introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and so they know who's speaking when they speak.
Sure. Okay, I'll go first. I'm Frank Bahar. I'm kind of the writer for Purrsident. My friends that I made it with, we're all good buddies, and we've just been hanging out since we were young. And yeah, I'm just kind of the writer aspect of the whole thing.
Hi, I'm Elijah. What is it? Okay. I am one of the designers, so I do the graphic design side. We all worked on the mechanics, but I've been one of the ones leading that and how the game actually is pieced together.
I'm Isaiah LaCour, and I'm kind of I guess you could say the leader, so to speak, and I was in charge of working on both the art aspects as well as the mechanics, as Elijah had said before, but I also do the marketing and stuff, so I'm the one contacting all sorts of like companies and stuff for how we're going to print it and all that sort of thing, so that's our team, really.
Well, thank you so much for just joining us on Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, no problem at all. Now, before we get into everything that's great about you guys' new game, let's rewind a little bit if we could. How did you guys get into playing tabletop board games? Maybe we'll start with Isaiah, then Elijah, and then Frank, if that works for you guys.
Well, I guess technically back in high school, we started playing Dungeons and Dragons. and we've been playing all sorts of like tabletop games and card games, and I think when we were still in high school, I guess our uncle, he bought us a game called Killer Bunnies, and we really got into like strategy games of that sort, and just like, you know, anything from, like I said, Dungeons to Dragons to Killer Bunnies to recent ones like Exploding Kittens and stuff. We've been playing all sorts of games like that.
For me, it's been the same journey. I mean, me and Isaiah are brothers, twins actually. And, you know, we've been playing Dungeons and Dragons, Risk, classic card games like poker, President. We've been playing Catan, you know, all kinds of board games and card games.
As for me, like, I'm one of those guys who, like, you know, likes to play like a week-long game of like Risk or that kind of thing. And it kind of started with my dad when I was really young, because, you know, he taught me how to play chess and kind of old school kind of games like that, and he'd constantly beat me at them. and I just always wanted to get better at that. So for me, it's always been sort of like games that have a level of strategy to them, and a lot of tabletop games satisfied that need for me.
Awesome. Now, occasionally we'll have somebody that comes on likes Risk. I know me and my son like to play that. It's been a while, but I don't know if this is something you're comfortable with divulging online. You don't want to end up getting beaten, but what kind of strategy you go for, Frank, if you don't mind us asking?
Well, see, I usually try and go for either. It's like one of two strategies. Go for Europe and try and take Europe, which always ends terribly because everybody just tears me apart from every angle. Or I go for Australia because I think, I have that secure pocket in the side. And then I just try and go, upwards into Asia. And most times, I just don't have that's why I like strategy. I mean, I find on the luck side of things, I'm always lacking. And as far as the luck of the die goes, I usually get mostly ones and twos. So yeah, I try to stick to the Australia strategy mainly though. Just hold Australia.
Yeah, that's what I do. Like Australia and South America, sometimes the United States or Africa. But my son, Wizard Leaf, he'll be 16 pretty soon here. He always goes straight for Asia, and he always ends up winning me somehow.
If you can get Asia, you win. That's the ticket, honestly.
I don't know how he holds it so long, but yeah, that's where he goes straight there.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think so too as well. Now, who's older? Are you older, Elijah, or Isaiah? Because I imagine one of you came first.
Yeah, I'm the oldest, Isaiah.
By like a few minutes.
Yeah.
I imagine you get a little bit of time designing a game. It takes a lot out of you and whatnot. But do you guys currently have a favorite current game? What are you guys playing lately?
The three of us, we play a lot of Rocket League together. So that's like cars play soccer kind of game. We play a lot of Steam game, Overwatch, play all kinds of computer games. Yeah.
We were just playing Death Road to Canada before we did this interview. We were having a lot of fun playing that. It's a really fun.
Is that a computer game too, or is that a board game, or what is that?
That's like a sort of 2D RPG zombie survival computer game where the goal is to get from Florida to Canada as fast as you can or something like that. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, good. I really like the 2D. My wife and kids give me a hard time because they're more into these finagled 3D games.
2D is actually really fun. I mean, it keeps it simple, and yeah, there's nothing wrong with 2D.
I like it, especially the unidirectional games, but they always give me a hard time.
Yeah, there's a bit of a generational barrier. I mean, for us, we're kind of old school. I mean, we grew up playing Mario and stuff like that, Nintendo 64. So
me as an artist, I actually started like pixel art before my digital art career. So I just love 2D old-fashioned pixel art games.
Awesome, yeah, and going along with the old school and the old-fashioned stuff, you guys recently created a game that's currently on Kickstarter, and the first thing I saw when I saw it was actually your Kickstarter video, which reminded me of the olden day TV shows that are pretty cool out there. What can you guys tell us about Purrsident that's currently on Kickstarter?
Isaiah, you want to take it over?
Yeah, I'll take it over. So Purrsident was originally a game so it's based off the game President, but basically we've revamped it and made it we think it's really fun. It's that's one thing about the game that we're really excited about is that when we're designing it, it was really fun to play. A lot of the times when you're designing something, you're just designing it to get it out there. But with this, we're designing it, we were having fun playing it, and it was I can't wait for other people to play this because this is so fun. But yeah, so Purrsident is a revamp of something classic, but with so much injected creativity and originality that it becomes its own entity. And that's Purrsident, I guess.
So let's start off with President. I haven't heard of that. What can you tell us about President?
So basically, the main for President as just a old card game you can play with any deck of playing cards is 3 to 9 people you go around starting with the lowest card, which is 3, and each player in turn has to put a higher card and it keeps going around in a circle until the highest value card is put down.
Yeah, like it goes around until players can't play any higher, and then that person would clear the deck, and then they'd start, and then it keeps going around and around until one player loses all their cards, and then they become the president, and then they get 2 points, and then the next person to discard all their cards gets 1 point.
The other thing about president in the original rules is that the president gets to make a rule for the next round of gameplay, which could be, in the old sense, anything. He could say, if there's a 3, 4, 5 put down in the discard, that equals a double discard for everyone who's in it. And they can just make fun stuff like that happen. And we built on that in our version of the game. And sort of codified it, I guess.
Going back to the president or whatnot, is it like everybody gets a hand, or they get a deck and they turn the cards over individually, like in war, or how does that go down?
Yeah, so in president and president, everyone is dealt a full deck. So the deck is dealt to the player until there's no more cards remaining, and then the goal of the game is to get rid of your cards. So, like you said, like the first person to start is the player with the 3 of clubs, and then they'll just keep going around in a circle. Like each player will play consecutively trying to get rid of their cards, and so first player out is the winner, and then a new round will start. And in our game, Purrsident, we've implemented new things which we call platforms, and that will affect future gameplay depending on different things. So there's this stuff we call trading. So depending on which time you got out, so like the first player out is president, the next player is vice president, and then it'll go down a hierarchy. So then this hierarchy, they'll start trading with each other at the end of the round, at the start of a new round, sorry. And there's another addition we've added, which is called action cards. And these are given out also depending on your role and depending on the platform. Like these things can like change really rapidly. So each round is different and unique. There's like tons of variations depending on these like combos basically. So there's a lot of room for replayability in that sense.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it sounds really fun. Now, I imagine I can play this with the regular deck of cards, but what sets you guys' cards aside or apart from a regular deck of playing cards that I might pick up at the supermarket or whatnot?
A couple of things. Oh yeah, go ahead, Ledge.
The main thing is that it's not just like we started out with just a normal playing deck, but now it's completely different because the platforms and the action cards. It's hard to say because like when you're actually playing the game, it's like each round you draw a platform card, and that changes how people will treat each other, like because it will automatically give a bias to one of the player roles. So like I think there's one will benefit the president, and it'll just give him more action cards than everybody. It'll make it so that every player has to give him more cards. And then on the other side of the spectrum, there's a platform card that will make it so that the lowest player receives the most benefit.
And the one thing I would also say is that both boys are kind of selling themselves short because one of the major things about the deck of cards that makes it different than any deck of cards you buy at the store is the art. And they did a really good job on that. All the art they did. It took quite a few months for them to make, and it's pretty awesome. I can attest.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it looks simple but elegant. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Scrolling through your Kickstarter page and whatnot.
Thank you. We went through a bunch. Well, V went through a bunch of different styles that we thought about doing, and this one is. If you could see the first one, it's quite radically different than the first style that we wanted to go with, which was a lot more kind of less kind of like cartoony, a lot more kind of like elegant, sort of something you might see maybe at a casino or something like that.
Okay, cool. Speaking of changing how you change the art and whatnot, I imagine there was a lot of playtesting that went in as well. During playtesting, was there ever anything you guys had to scrap for the game just because it wouldn't work?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like Frank had mentioned, there was like in the very beginning, we had the idea originally was just like, let's just reskin President. Let's just reskin a deck of cards and sell it. And it was like, oh yeah, that sounds pretty easy. And we'll just add a couple things. Originally, what we called them were laws. And so what that was is basically like every round, when someone was finished, you would have the ability to make up a quote unquote law that was just kind of like random and arbitrary. And we were like, okay, well, excuse me, that's in the long run is not going to make sense. We can't really balance that. And like, how do we control that? So we had to scrap that. And then we went with,
Before we had action cards.
yeah, before we had action cards, we had these things called advantage cards and privilege cards. And those kind of work in the same way, except basically we had it split, and that like depending on which end of the hierarchy you were on, you got different cards. That kind of worked, but then it made it so that there wasn't as much variety and people were getting more advantages than other players, and that just made it unbalanced and unfun.
And a little overcomplicated too.
Yeah. So what we did is we scrapped that idea again, and then just combined the cards, and then we came up with our final version, which is the action cards.
How did you know you were at the final version, or how did you know it was ready to go?
It was the funnest game we ever played.
Once it was a game that was hard to put down for all of us, then we were like, I think we've got something.
Well, that's always good. You'd rather make a fun game than something people don't like to play, so that's good. Now, when it comes to Purrsident, what would you guys say you're most proud of? I don't know if it's the same thing for each of you or if you each have something different, but what are you guys most proud of?
I think collectively, we just find how fun the game is. Like that's what we're most proud of. Like starting it, we were kind of like, how are we gonna make this fun? And then now that at the end, we're in the zone of like how amazing and how fun. Like I bring it to school because I'm going to college right now. So I'm doing this like part-time as I'm going to school. But I'll bring it into lunch and then I'll play it with some strangers and friends, and we'll have an amazing time.
and I the thing that marked it as like really, I don't know, got me excited, made me feel really proud, was when we actually got like our prototype in and our box, that had all of our cards in it, and it was like, this is like a real game that you can like play. Like, I don't know, there was just something about that just officialized everything and just made it feel very real and very exciting.
Yeah, for sure, most definitely. So when you're playing at lunch, don't you have a hard time putting it down so you can get to class?
Exactly. That's exactly what happens. Like sometimes we're like going right into class a little bit. And our teacher, he's been helping us along a little bit. Like it's one thing that is really awesome about where I go to school. I'm learning animation for TV and game design right now. But it's awesome, like the community that they have there, and the support that they've given us. But yeah, like we'll play it and we'll be like, anybody want to stay after school to play it? So yeah.
Well, there you go. Awesome. And what about yourself, Frank? Did you tell us already?
My favorite part of the game, like, I guess, like, I mean, with mechanics, I don't know. I guess when the new platforms came in, that really excited me. When we finally figured out our new platforms, because at first we had about 4 platforms. To go into a bit more detail on what the platforms are, they're kind of like, they have all these different effects for gameplay, but they're basically based on different like political platforms. What was sort of cat punts attached to them, like the Communist Party, the Capitalist Party, Progressive, like and so on. And just when we had all of those ready, like that's what really made it a unique and really fun game, and it was kind of our unique stamp on it.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool. That's awesome. I like that. And sounds like the different platforms give the different players different abilities. Am I correct?
Yeah, exactly.
The platforms basically they're just meant to shake up the game in any way. Like when you become the Purrsident, so to speak, you're winning because it gives you points, but your role doesn't benefit you in every platform. So there's platforms that affect you in a negative way as Purrsident, and then there's platforms that affect you in a positive way, and then there's platforms that affect everyone positively or everyone negatively.
And everybody, like each character role has their own unique ability. So that it's like multiple layers of strategy happening because all players are aware of each other's abilities, how many action cards they have, what those action cards are, what the platform is in play, so they can completely come up with their own strategy on the spot.
And we did try to make a little bit, sort of a nod to the different political platforms as we were making them. Like, for example, in communism, everybody, no matter like whether they're Purrsident or Alley Cat, get the same, sort of random trading, and everyone gets the same amount of, action cards. Whereas in capitalism, trading is increased. So and just things like that. So we did try and make them sort of make sense.
Yeah.
They were sort of like parody, like they weren't completely random in that sense.
And are those different platforms, or is that a different gameplay style, like when you come to the different parties?
No, it's all the base game.
Yeah, that's all the base game, and the platforms are randomly picked at the start of every round. So that particular part is basically up to chance because all the different platforms benefit different levels of the hierarchy. So some will benefit the people who did the worst essentially in the last round, and some will benefit those that did the best. And you can't really tell which one you're going to get.
Oh, okay. It sounds pretty fun, and like I said, I like the art, and especially I like the video at the first of the game, and it's cool how to play video and the old school art and whatnot. Now, with all the other games that are out on Kickstarter currently, what makes you guys' game stand out as one my audience should go and check out and then back if they like what they see?
One of the biggest things about our game that we think sets us apart from other card games out there and tabletops is it's a party game. It's a 3 to 9 player. A lot of games like this, they'll max out at 5, and you'll have to buy 2 copies just to play with your group of friends, or an expansion pack, and some even the limit is too small, and it's like you can only play with 2, or you need an even number. This is like it doesn't matter how many people you have. If it's like even or odd, you can continue to play with the amount of people you have, which is one of the things that we think sets it apart from a lot of Kickstarters out there.
And I might say that, in my experience of playing it with, Elijah's school and other places like that, there's a certain amount of intensity in this game because there is actually a very real level of strategy. Sure, there is luck of the cards, but in the way the game is modeled, basically, like there's always this sense of strategy of trying to save your most valuable cards for last, and a chance to kind of clear your deck before it's too late. If you're left with nothing but low cards at the end of the round, it's going to be very unlikely to get Purrsident. And with the action cards, which have a number of different abilities, like wild card, playing out of turn, skipping someone else's turn, you can use all of that to your advantage, and then you have to choose when is the right time to use those. So I just love the amount of strategy, and I think that
People will see it, and they'll be like, I think one of the things too that separates it for us is I guess our story, because we're from a really small town and area. Like most of the people where we live, they're not thinking quite as big, and we have this drive and ambition to share our enjoyment for games with the world.
Yeah, the Canadian East Coast is it's not like a huge powerhouse place, but we want to make it somewhere where, like if we can get things going, when we get things going for us, we want to have a community, and we want to bring people together to make games and make New Brunswick, where our province where we live, a place where people can kind of thrive and do the things they love.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Are there other game designers there in New Brunswick that you know of?
Not many, that's the thing. But we'd like to establish that here. And that's our, I guess, to put it bluntly, it would be our vision for New Brunswick and our development here.
Yeah, it would be a dream if we could stay in New Brunswick. I mean, I know a lot of people our age are straight out to the city as quick as they can, but like, I know we like living here. It's a real beautiful place, lots of woods and just cool people and stuff, and we'd like to stay if we can and make a business here.
And is it always winter there?
Most of the time.
It feels like it.
It's winter now. Oh man, it gets really cold.
So how would you go about do you have plans on how you would go about doing that, setting up so more game designers will either come there or more people there will start creating things? Do you guys have a plan or a vision to be able to help that get going?
Yeah, one of the biggest things is there's actually a lot of designers here. It's just that they often move away when looking for jobs and stuff. So if we're able to create something where they can stay here, that's the goal, basically, the vision. Because like I said, I also went to the same school as Elijah, and I graduated last year, and it was basically the same that problem where there were tons of artists coming out of the school and they wanted to get a job in game design or stuff like that, but there's no jobs in New Brunswick. It just doesn't support that sort of thing. So they either go to the next closest thing or they're just kind of left having to go work at McDonald's or something.
And there's we have a bunch of friends who want to start working with us and stuff. I think at first they weren't sure whether we were really serious, but now that they see we are serious, they're like, yeah, well, we'd love to do a project with you guys, and we'd love to have them. Really, the more the merrier.
Oh, okay, awesome. Now, if anybody from up in that area is listening, or anybody from Canada, period, is listening, how can they help you guys in this venture?
Well, our Kickstarter, I think, would be the best place to start. This is our first Kickstarter ever. This is our first tabletop game, our first business, and for this Kickstarter to work would mean the world to us, and it would give us a building block for which we could do so much, really. It would just mean the world to us.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like it's too much. Like, it looks to get one copy of Purrsident is about $24 United States, 24 USD. Is that right?
Yeah, U.S. money's worth more than ours, so yeah, a little bit cheaper than it is even here.
And if somebody does go ahead and they take a chance on it, and when this is successful, I know you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. When would they anticipate getting their game so they can try to make their run to be the Purrsident?
Yeah, so our goal is to get it out as quickly as we can. What we projected is February as the earliest date, because oftentimes what it'll take is about a month or two to get the orders in to the printing company, and then another month or two just to ship it out to people. So like I said, we've estimated February as the earliest date we can get it out
cheaper
there.
and quicker for Americans.
Yeah, actually, our warehouse that we have, our shipping company's based in the United States, so it'd be likely that Americans would probably get it sooner than here, because they would have to have it shipped into Canada.
We've had plenty of trouble getting the prototype here in Canada anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So there you go. There you have it. So if they go ahead and check out the Kickstarter, they like what they see, we'll make sure we leave all the links in the show notes so they can have an easier time checking it out. So minus coming there to New Brunswick to stalk you guys personally or keep up with you, how would they go about doing that?
Well, we've got a Twitter set up. We've got Instagram, Facebook. It's all under the name Ignescence Studios. That's the name of our company. It's spelled IGNESSENCE, I think. So just because Yeah, good. Yeah, so our Facebook is our most active right now, but we're trying to open up into every different social media. We've got a few pictures on our Instagram right now. We're getting our Twitter more active, and we're even thinking of starting a YouTube channel.
Well, there you go. And we'll make sure, if you get me the links, I'll make sure I go ahead and put those all in the show notes so they can just easily click across or whatnot. So that's awesome. Now, we don't want to keep you all night, but we really appreciate you coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief with us to talk all about Purrsident and how people can go ahead and get that awesome game so they can become the Purrsident, if you will. But yeah, we really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, we
Appreciate you
your
having
time.
us, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem at all.
It was awesome talking to you.
Thank you.
Gamer Leaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if Gamer Leaf's luck holds up.